Denver's real estate market just woke up in a huge way. In this video, I'm going to go over 2026 Q1 results, and the home sales are going to surprise you. So let's break down what's been happening since the start of 2026. In January and February, we stayed relatively flat. Those are typically slower months, and they remain that way in 2026, just about the same as they were in 2025. So, no big surprises there. And it looked like 2026 would shape out to be about similar to 2025. However, in March, there was a massive surge in the amount of inventory coming on the market. The amount of days on the market for sellers went drastically down, and everything seems to be unthawing. There's a few reasons for this, but let's get started by going into the numbers of what we know so far. Let's go over the hard data and look at what is shaping 2026 and what we can expect from the rest of this year. So going into this, the amount of homes sold in Q1 2026 is just over 4,500. That is a spike of almost 3% compared to 2025. This is great news for sellers. This means that buyers are starting to be sick of sitting on the sidelines waiting for interest rates to come down, and they are starting to come out and want to transact. Great news for sellers, also good news for buyers that people are starting to come out again. So the median price compared to 2025, they held pretty steady. The median price is 575,000. That stayed about the same from 2025 compared to 2026. So we're not seeing prices go through the roof, which is a bummer for sellers, but it's also good news in the fact that we see an increase in sales, but that isn't due to sellers having to reduce their price a ton. So overall, good news. Inventory jumped almost 10% from February to March. So it's pretty standard that you see January, February be the slower months. And then in March, 10% increase means that people are wanting to start to get their homes sold. That's good news in the fact that it's keeping the market moving for buyers. That means more options on the market for sellers. You don't want to see this number go up a ton because as we continue into summer, if that number increases quite a bit, you're going to have a lot more competition on the market. And obviously, if you're trying to sell, the less competition, the better. We started to see days on market go down, which is also great news. The average days on market fell to 45 days on market, which is good. Of course, we'd love to see that number keep coming down so that you can sell your home a lot faster. This is a big one. So the amount of pending sales in March jumped 31%. That is amazing. That is a huge bump in pending sales. That means buyers are really coming out, writing contracts, and wanting to actually purchase homes. So great news there. What does this mean if you're a seller in 2026? Well, I can tell you a couple of things. One is as we headed into 2026, there was predictions of at least a couple interest rate cuts. That conversation is actually changing to potential rate hikes. We do not want this, and none of us have a crystal ball, so we don't know if that's going to come true or not. But as time goes on and we start to see what's going to play out in this year, if you start to see interest rate increases, obviously that has a propensity to slow down the market again. Not great if you are a seller. Of course, we want interest rates as low as possible. I will say if you are a seller and you want to transact this year and you are in a position to do so, you are probably better doing it sooner than later and not playing that gamble that interest rates are going to continuously go up. However, this is a decision you need to make with your family. If you are not ready to transact, then don't do it. You never want to make a decision out of panic and fear. However, you do want to be educated on what's going on in the market. So having that knowledge that interest rates could potentially go up, obviously anything can happen. We're currently still in a conflict with Iran, which creates a lot of uncertainty in the market and things like that. I always tell people, if you know you have something good right now, pounce while you can and get it sold before the interest rates potentially go up or we have a huge influx of inventory. If you do, and we are seeing competition go up, what that means for you as a seller is really getting your home prepped and looking its best. So During the days of COVID, you could literally put a sign in the yard. We had a lot of new agents that didn't know what they were doing that could still sell a house in 48 hours. We are not in those days now. So, pricing strategy, marketing strategy, and getting your home looking the best is very important as you have more competition coming on the market. You really want to stand out. I always offer people to look at their home, see what needs to be done, also what doesn't need to be done. There's sometimes I get people that want to put certain things into their house because they think it'll increase the value, and it's just money wasted. So the idea is to also save you money and not have you dump a bunch of money into a house that you're just going to sell anyway. So as we go into 2026, it looks promising. We never know the future and what's going to happen, but it looks like a lot more buyers are starting to come out and want to transact. Great news for sellers, but you do want to be cautious about the amount of competition. As always, feel free to reach out with questions. I always offer a free market analysis. If you're curious of what your home would sell for in this market, curious what needs to be done to maximize the profit in your home, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. Love to talk, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.